Yesterday when I did my video on Joe Biden, I was really upset that this man was stomping around talking about Black parents can't read or write. So today, maybe there is some hope, y'all. Maybe there is just a glimmer. February 19th, 2020, Joe Biden's Black voter support shows signs of strain. It should. When you listen to the way this man have talked about Black people in his whole political career, it's a disgrace. I don't see how anybody could stand by this man at this point in the Black community. So, look like things are not as solid as Joe Biden may want you to believe when it comes down to his support from the Black community. Joe Biden's strength with Black Democrats is being tested here as losses in Iowa and New Hampshire have led some voters to give his rivals a second look. I've been listening to Pete Buttigieg, said William Mack, 25 years old, who was getting a haircut Friday in a predominantly Black barbershop, wearing a smock bearing the image of the former President Obama. Yeah, we still got a lot of ride or die people for Obama, y'all. I don't know why, but we do. Mr. Mack said his parents' support for Mr. Biden had led him to think that he too would cast a ballot for the former vice president when his state hosts its February 29th primary. But Mr. Mack said he started to give Buttigieg a look after hearing that the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, had outperformed Mr. Biden in New Hampshire's primary, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing. Okay. You know what the problem is? Our people kind of get a surface view of these people and they don't really go back and look at the overall political career. Or if they were an attorney general or a DA, what kind of job did they do? Who did they target? Who ended up suffering the most when these folks were in political office or any type of position of power? So, unfortunately, our people are always going to do this surface look at these folks and not realize many of these folks have a horrible record with Black people. They do. And Pete Buttigieg, who he's looking at now, he's no exception. Mm-mm-mm. Mr. Mack of Blythewood said of Mr. Buttigieg, to be sure, Mr. Biden remains the 2020 presidential candidate with the most support among Black Americans. Says who? The mainstream news? You can't go by what the mainstream news says. Remember, they were the ones that projected Hillary to win. But look who won, Trump. This is the same mainstream news that did that. So no, you just because they throw something out there, it doesn't mean it's sticking. So I mean, they always put wrong information out there. That's why they're called fake news. An important factor in a state in which more than 60% of Democratic voters are Black. With Mr. Biden's rival, including Mr. Buttigieg, have struggled to gain widespread traction here. The Biden campaign insists that its underperformance in the early contest won't undermine the support among Black voters, particularly older ones, who consistently say in interviews that they appreciate Mr. Biden for his time in the White House as Mr. Obama's number two. Well, these older people are definitely lost. You know, I don't expect them even after they hear how terrible their political records are with Black people, to change their positions. They usually don't. Yet there are signs Mr. Biden's Black support could erode enough to make the state competitive. Trav Robinson, the state Democratic Party chairman, has been working in South Carolina politics for 20 years and said the race is the most fluid he has seen. This race is wide open here, Mr. Robertson said. Joe Biden has some work to do in order to close the deal and win South Carolina. Wow. You know, it is so many of our people that got a major lack of understanding when it comes down to these folks. I guess because I'm on YouTube and I look at these stories so that I can turn around and tell you about this. You know, I've learned a lot about the backgrounds of many of these people that are running, and none of them are good, especially when it comes down to us. And it's just amazing how we are so conditioned to vote for people, even if we don't like them. And I wish we would just snap out of that. That has never benefited us. We've been doing that now forever. And where has it benefited the Black community? And you voting anyway for somebody you know deep down inside you don't particularly care for them. We have never had any good from that at all. Why not try something different this time around? Seriously, why not try something different? If a candidate is not delivering what you want, and we know we want tangibles, we want reparations, and many other things. I mean, let's be real. We're just not stuck with no one thing. We want many things. After all, we've been voting for the Democratic Party forever. All right. However, one survey released immediately after Mr. Biden's fourth place finish in Iowa caucuses and fifth place tally in New Hampshire suggests that his position with Black Democrats in South Carolina is weakening. I don't know why the man got support in the first place. Maybe they can't read in South Carolina because they sure act like they don't know anything about him. East Carolina University survey conducted in days before the Iowa caucuses showed Mr. Biden's lead in the field among Black South Carolina likely voters with 44% support. ECU conducted another poll after the New Hampshire primary in which Mr. Biden's Black support fell 8% points to 36%. During that same time frame, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders saw his support double from 10% before Iowa to 20% after New Hampshire. Billionaire Tom Steyer was the third place among Black likely voters with 17%. No other candidate was in the double digits with Black South Carolinians. Among all likely South Carolina Democratic voters, the gap between Biden and Sanders was closer in the post New Hampshire poll, 28% for the former vice president, compared with 20% for Sanders. Biden has long bet that Black Democrats would be, so, this is what I am deeply opposed to. See, something is wrong when these candidates think getting our vote is a shoo-in. They believe this because you know what? Largely, when you look back at the voting history among Black people, that's the way it was for Democratic candidates. They knew, oh, I'll just get the black vote. I don't have to do nothing for them. I'll just get it. And I really believe, just looking at this, that is the impression that Joe Biden is getting. Oh, I'll just get the black vote. I'm just going to get it. None of these candidates should feel that kind of comfort at all, y'all. None of them should. None of them should feel comfortable in believing that our vote is a shoo-in. Nevada's caucuses are February 22nd, followed by the North Carolina primary a week later. Then the candidate dashed to a series of bigger and more diverse states that vote on Super Tuesday, which is March 3rd. By the end of March, the majority of delegates to the Democratic National Convention in Milwaukee will have been awarded. You know, at this point, it really don't matter which Democrat they pick to go up against Trump. They're not going to win. They're not. You have to be a fool to believe that anybody from the Democratic side will be able to beat Trump. I'm sorry, they won't. They won't. And with black people pulling away from Biden, I don't think he's got a chance. I think Joe Biden is going to have to go sit his ass down, whether he likes it or not. And that's the way it should be. This man doesn't deserve our support, not with the kind of things that he has said in the past and in the present. When it comes down to black folks, this man just takes every opportunity to insult us. And then here we are, just like this woman, just smiling and beaming all in front of their faces after being insulted. I will never understand that from our community. I will never understand it. But please tell me what you think, y'all. I hope this is a good sign that the majority of our people are getting it when it comes down to Joe Biden. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.